So this lesson is about angles or sine, cosine, tan of angles that are more than 90. So far, okay, we only looked at triangle, right angle triangle, okay, and we looked, let's say it's the sine of this angle. Let's say it's 40 or 50, let's say, and 50 or 60, anything between 0 and 90. Because we said trig is all about ratio between side in a triangle with a right angle. But now, as I asked you to just a second ago to put sine 190, you still got an answer. Okay, but how can you have a triangle with an angle with more than 190? So what I will do, I will give you first of all some kind of information about these values, the sine, tan, and cosine. Not explain, just give you some information. We're looking at all the angles between 0 and 360. Okay? All the angles between, because you know in one circle there is 360 degrees. So we're going to look at all the values of these functions between 0 and 360. This, if you don't remember, this E sign means belong. So we're going to look at what happens when the angles are between 0 and 90. Okay, we did this stuff earlier in the year, how you write it. This is between 0 and 90. This is between 90 and 180, 180 to 70, to 70 to 360. Okay? And I'm going to give you this way of remembering. All I'm telling you now is the sine, cosine, tan, are they positive or negative? That's all I'm going to give you. Okay? So for sine, cosine, and tan, between 0 and 90, they're all positive. We've worked a lot with these angles, and we know that the sine theta, it could be many things, 0,8, 0,7666, whatever, but they're all positive. We never came across a negative sine, tan, or cosine. Okay? Things start going different when you move on to bigger angles. So the sine between 90 and 180 is still positive.
And then negative.
But the cosine is negative. The tan will be also negative. You can check that out. Okay, I'll pause the video. Check, let's say, sine 100, cosine 100, and tan 100. Check that out. See that you get sine is positive, cosine is negative, and tan is negative. Okay? Check that for me later. Okay?
Sir,
let me just pause. No, all right. Okay, you can check that. Now, when we go between, so this was between 90 and 180. Now we're moving from 180 to 270. Okay? Well, you'll find out that the sine is negative, the cosine is also negative, but the tan is positive. Again, you can try with, let's say, sine 190, cosine 190. Okay, that's between 180 and 270, and tan 190. You'll see that's the sine, cosine negative, the tan is positive. Then moving on from 270 to 360. Okay? The sine will be negative, the cosine will be positive, and the tan will be negative again. You can try, for example, for sine, 300. Try sine 300, cosine 300, tan 300. You'll see the sine is negative, cosine positive, and tan is negative. Now, yes. Now, how do we remember it? I will explain why that happens probably next lesson. But why, or how do we remember it? We need to look at this concept of called quadrants. What does quadrant mean? Quadrant is like, it's a 4, okay? So we divide our whole circle, the 360 degrees, you know there's 360 degrees in a circle, to 4 quadrants. The first one is between 0 and 90, then 90 to 180, 180 to 70, 270, 270 to 360. This is the first quadrant, second, third, and fourth. That's kind of a convention, okay? It's a conventional. You're right. You always measure the angle, okay? This is a very good point you're making here. We always measure the angle from the x-axis like that. So that is my theta. Always in this direction. Since you're asking me now, you could measure in this way, the angle here, but then it's going to be a negative angle. So you don't need to worry about negative angles for now. It's more grade 11. There are actually negative angles, and they're counted clockwise. Okay, how do you remember this thing? I've got my way of remembering it, which I'll show you next lesson, but most students will remember it like this. Okay? Okay. you got to remember, and please don't quote me on that. I didn't make it up. Okay.
Okay.
All students take Coke. Okay. That's just what you got to remember. All students take Coke. Okay. I didn't make it up. Okay.
Okay, I get it.
I've got cola.
What does that mean?
It
Cola.
means so,
Okay.
I
Coca-Cola.
know.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
what does that mean?
All
Means all of them are positive.
It's a sin.
Students
It's sin
mean
positive.
sin is positive, the rest are negative.
Tan is positive.
Take tan, only the tan is positive.
Only the cos is positive.
Coke, Coca-Cola, of course. Okay, only the cosine is positive. Okay, right? I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna do a bit of practice, and I'll explain why does that happen a bit later.
All right.